Welcome to another edition of the Royal Lions UK podcast, episode 134. It's a hard knock life for us. Thanks, Ryan, for that one. My name's Matthew Turner, alongside co-host Ryan McCluskey, Anthony Fitzpatrick. How you doing, boys?
Not bad.
Yeah, depressed. Hate football. Want the season to end already. Not going well.
For those American listeners, that's soccer. All of our teams did not do great this coming week, the previous weekend. So, let's hope for more from our Lions, shall we? With pre-season happening this week for our Lions, cannot wait for that. Just to get into a bit of housekeeping before we start, don't forget our Discord channel. Please do come and hit the link for that. I'll send one out at the end of the show. It's a lovely community of people we got down there, going to talk Lions all the way through the season. It's been great in the off season too, actually. So do come and check us out. College Football Podcast. And last week you spoke about the Mountain West Conference, I believe. Who are you speaking about this week?
So yeah, we're already at the end of our group of 5 research this week. It's all about the Mac Attack. We're doing the Mid-American Conference. This is where most of the Michigan teams reside. So probably people know a lot more about these than the shows we've done previously. But it's all good fun. The Mac's a fun conference, and yeah, we'll look forward to it.
Wednesday this week, at the moment.
I'll let you know.
There we go. All right. Please don't forget to like the episode on YouTube. Much appreciate that. And sub to the podcast. Hit the bell. All the good stuff that you can. Much appreciated. And don't forget as well about Lions Nation Unite. Our friends over there doing all the good stuff. Yours truly and Ant have been on there quite a bit recently. So if you want to check us out in other places, we'll definitely be there quite often alongside Herman Moore and Micro Mike and all the other good guys. And we are a Twitch affiliate. If you do have a free Prime subscription available, would really appreciate you chucking that our way. Won't cost you a penny, but it will take it from them, put it in our pocket. So very, very good. And boys, our very first ad read. So bear with me while I get through this one. HBO Sports and NFL Films are partnering with the Detroit Lions for an unfiltered, all-access look at what it takes to make it in the National Football League with Hard Knocks training camp with the Detroit Lions. This season will chronicle head coach Dan Campbell entering his second season leading an intriguing mix of young emerging stars and established veterans throughout training camp and the preseason. Hard Knocks will mark the 17th edition of the 18-time Sports Emmy winning series and the most acclaimed serialized sports series on television. Stream the new season August 9th. That's tomorrow on HBOmax. If you're in the UK, it's dropping just one day later on Sky Sports Action every Wednesday at 10 p.m. UK time. I think it's also 10 p.m. Eastern tomorrow night too. Boys, we're going to see some great stuff on Hard Knocks. I know that I wasn't really going to lead off with this, but have you seen the Jamal Williams video, the hype video? He's basically in tears. It's quite something.
Yeah, like I said. I'm a little disappointed you not have got that memorised. I thought I was going to memorise this, but no, it's all scripted. Yeah, I can't wait. I've never been a fan of Hard Knocks. Never liked it. It's never interested me. But suddenly, it's piqued my interest, and that's because people are going to learn a little bit more about those sleeping old giants from the 50s and 60s that still happen to have a football team. We're still kicking. We're still alive, even though people tend to ignore us. But now you can't. Now we're going to be in your faces, on your screens, on your TVs, and you can't get away from us. Even if you want to, we're going to cram it down your throat.
You know, I think more than anything, I'm looking forward to seeing Juice Dale and Aaron Glenn talking trash about one another. Those two are absolutely hilarious, and I think that's quickly going to become a fun focal point for us on this. So, yeah, it's going to be fun. I saw the Jamal thing as well, and it's nice, but you know what? I've sort of hardened against these hype speeches. I've heard enough. I need to see it on the pitch now. So they don't hit like they should, but I'm going to enjoy Hard Knocks nonetheless. But, you know, they've got to start producing on the pitch now to really, really get the adrenaline rolling.
I mean, the thing is, I hear what you're saying, Ant. I really, really do about just wanting to see it on the field at this point. But they can't get on the field at this point. And I still want to see stuff which I find encouraging. And sometimes I've seen, you know, little bits in the middle, especially during... why have I forgotten the name of our previous coach before Matt Patricia?
Because his name's banned. Oh, right.
No, yeah.
I thought you meant
Caldwell,
Patricia.
sorry, during the Caldwell era, I saw several people give speeches, whether it was him, and that was very dignified, or whether it was players, and it was, let's say it was all business. Even before Matt Patricia came along, it was all business and very little passion or emotion. And it's not going to translate to wins or losses, I don't think, but I love seeing that people care. And Jamal's just a fun guy anyway, but you might be mistaken throughout everything for thinking that Jamal was a very kind of jokey, laid back, not too serious guy. And then you see something like that and you realise that sometimes the personas you see all the time are really not who that person is in real life.
I mean, I just think that is him. I just think he's a big kid that's just living his dream. Just something he wanted to do as a kid. He's happened to just do it as a profession. He's living everybody's dream, innit? So I love him.
No, don't get me wrong. Yeah, I absolutely love the player, and I love I love the embodiment he brings to this team. You know, it's what you want to see. But again, there's only so much hype you can take before it needs backing up. So, because he did the one just a few weeks ago as well, when they were showing the montage of the first week of training camp. So it's like, right, I've seen this twice now, and yes, it's getting me excited and whatnot. But you know, at the end of the day, it's all for nothing if we don't move forward on the pitch. So, you know, that's kind of where I'm at now. It's like I'm hyped up. No more, you know, nothing else they can do will hype me any further. We've got to go and see some actual things now. And we've got preseason coming up on Friday. That's going to be their first chance to start proving things to us that this really is a little bit different than before.
Absolutely right. Let's get on with the news in the last 7 days. And first, Ryan, you pointed something out to me that we need to note from the GB side of things.
Yep. I just want to, on behalf of everyone here, congratulate the GB women's team. They've come away with silver medals from the IFAF World Championships over in Banter, Sweden. They came through a nail biter against Canada and won in the semi-finals, guaranteeing a silver medal at worst. They were level 14 all with the USA at halftime, but they pulled away in the end, unfortunately, but very successful. Some local people like Bethany Pilkington, who plays in Leeds, she was part of the squad as well, so it's great to see. And women's football in the UK is up. It's on a trending highlight, and a lot of those girls are playing on men's teams as well as women's teams. So congratulations. It was a fantastic tournament. I did manage to watch some of the games as well.
Fantastic result for our girls, considering that you would be forgiven for thinking that it's not the biggest place to come and play football, Britain. And, you know, if you talk about European football, that, you know, Germany is really leading the way when it comes to that sort of thing. So our girls doing that and then, you know, level with the States at half time is unbelievable, really.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The States really set the pinnacle, but the first half it was to and from. In the end, they just showed their experience and pulled away. But for a lot of it, they went toe to toe and they dispatched the Canadians. So they were 1-1 against the North Americans. So it's a really good sign that things are on the up.
Got a few signings and a few people leaving us that we've got to get through as well today. Lions have signed wide receiver Maurice Alexander, who recently played for the Philadelphia Stars in the not XFL, in the USFL. Catching 20 receptions, 234 yards and 2 touchdowns. He was also the kick and punt returner. In the corresponding move, the Lions waived running back Greg Bell with an injury designation. He went through waivers unclaimed and now reverts to the Lions on IR. He can either come to a package agreement with us to let him go permanently, or we can keep him on IR, pay him for the season, and then see what he is like next year when he will be an exclusive rights free agent. The Lions today have signed offensive tackle Kendall Lamb, formerly of the Texans, Browns, and Titans. He was the UDFA from Appalachian State in 2015, and in a corresponding move, the guard Zayn Obeid is retiring, which is very sad. The fourth such retirement this off-season for the Lions. I think they've taken flyers on some guys with really high upside, but perhaps, you know, a real kind of flyers, you know, low risk, high rewards, and some of these guys just finding that they ain't up to the task, boys. It's sad, but the conveyor belt keeps going and we keep picking up some different players. Did either of you see anything of Maurice Alexander?
Yeah, I saw a lot of him. He was really good. He's receiving, might not see the field that much. Special teams, he will instantly be in contention for kick and punt returns. He was one of the best in the USFL at returning. So that is how he'll make the team, is a special teams player. He wasn't too bad. Like I say, he's smaller. He's leaner. So he's got a crack if he can take one of those 2 jobs there. And yeah, so 3 UDFAs have retired out of 4 retirements overall. I don't know, I think a lot of these kids dream playing football, but when they actually get there, some of them realise they don't really, it's not everything they've always hoped for. It's not everything they've always wanted. Some of them will just take the degree or they'll go back to school. So it's not the be all end all. Say maybe they'll come back, but they tried it, gave it a go. They made it here. They're in the like 0.35% of like guys that actually make it to a camp from school. So they can say that. So yeah, at least we're not having to get rid of people to make room. Like I say, the door just keeps revolving.
I don't know, you kind of just hope it's a case of, they're getting here and things are just a bit too tough, especially in Dan Campbell's camp. He's obviously going to be running them into the ground. And I think with some of them, the realization quickly sets in of like, oh my God, this is unlike anything I've ever come across before. And the intensity with which Dan Campbell demands of his players, no matter how good you are, there is a base level that you're expected to, of effort you're expected to give. I think just with some of them, they're realizing that they can't reach it. So, it's not surprising. I say it's happening with other teams. Maybe not 4, but at the same time, there are players retiring all over the show at the minute. First teamers and UDFAs and that. It's just the time of year. People realize they're not going to make a roster, as Ryan says. They will make plans, go back to school, go do something else, just get a jump start on that before waiting for the inevitable cut further down the line. So, fair play to them for making the decision quick.
Kiko Alonso was the one that shocked me. The fact that he actually got picked up after all this time and then retired after 1 day of practice. I'm guessing that's just because his body isn't there anymore, unfortunately.
Yeah, 1 day grinding out and thinking, good God, it's just everything's creaking. Yeah, everything's creaking. It's 3 days of with treatment before everything's all right again. So it's like no.
I mean, I just find it hard to believe that you can get yourself in the shape where you think you can return to training camp, say in the gym. Like, you're getting yourself in the physical shape and you think, yeah, I think I'm about there. And then you do 1 day and you're like, no, I was wrong. Like, surely you kind of know at that point. I was shocked.
I don't know. I think you always hold out the hope, though, don't you? It's like a lot of things in life. Until you actually do it, you don't know. And until then, you'll take a chance. And I mean, don't get me wrong, these guys are fitter than anything we will, like near anything that a regular person will be in life. These are the fittest of the fit guys, and they still can't do it. That just shows the level you have to reach in the NFL. So, it's not like he's out of shape and going to suffer for it, but, it's...
Yeah. One more roster thing to talk about, but not on the playing staff, but on the coaching staff. We had a new defensive assistant coach with Addison Lynch joining us, formerly of the Raiders and the Chargers, where he had similar spots there. In terms of actual news, we have Dan Campbell revealing on Friday that he still doesn't know who is going to be calling plays on offense between him and Ben Johnson. Says he'll make the decision before week 1, which is really helpful because if he hasn't made the choice by then, it's going to be a bit sticky. Talking about injuries as well, there's a few changes here too. Romeo Aquara, the guy on the jersey I'm wearing right now, has worried everyone by revealing that he is hopeful he will play again this season, which is the first time anyone has talked about the fact that he might not be playing this season. So, somewhat hopeful leads to everyone freaking out, including me. CJ Moore, the safety, has been removed from the NFI list on Friday, August 5th. He has returned to practice since. And they've also revealed that Josh Pascal is ahead of schedule in his recovery from sports hernia surgery, which I was surprised to hear because we knew he got injured and had his surgery 2.5 months ago. We know that we were told that the average rehab is 3 months. So we were kind of expecting him back. 16th of August, 20th of August, we're not that far away from that. So for me, the fact that he hasn't yet returned and yet he's ahead of schedule kind of took me aback. But I mean, it's a very minor point. Anything you want to pick up from there, boys?
See, Aquara.
Go on, Ryan.
If Aquara plays this year, great. If Aquara don't play this year, I'm not going to bat an eyelid. Like I say, I've got no expectations for him. Like I say, if you don't make it back this year, it might not be around next year. It could very much be a cap casualty next year. I just hope we do see him. If we see him in a Lions uniform again this season, I hope he returns because I've got a feeling that he may make way next year. I don't want him to, but it's a real possibility if things don't go well this year.
No, I'll just straight up say if he's not going to play this year, then bye-bye. I've got zero tolerance for these injuries now, and if he's taking 2 years to come back from an Achilles tear, then sorry, zero tolerance. Off you go. I want someone who's fit and healthy and can play and ain't done with such a big injury like that. If they know now that he's struggling to make this season, they should make the decision and dispense with him. He should be gone. I've got no tolerance left for injuries on this team. I want him to be back and I want him to be playing well. Obviously, I prefer he stay here, but I'm not wasting 2 years of all that money on him just for him to not play. I'm sorry, it's a sad situation, but that's a simple thing. I will cut him now if it's going to be the case.
Yeah, that makes me really sad. I mean, my guy, I got him on the jersey because of his 10-sack season, and I thought, this is a guy I want to rep. Like, what a story coming from UDFA and cut by the Giants, and the first player from this front office that they actually decided to pay. Like, it was a big vote of confidence in his ability, and it's just been such a sucky thing for him. I feel really bad. I do think that there's a route to him coming back, even if he gets cut. So if he was fairly confident that he'd come back at some point during this year and maybe gets a few games or something, but then he rolls into next year and we're kind of where we are now. We don't really think he's going to make it. If he gets cut, but then expresses an interest to come back on like a minimum deal just to kind of prove himself on $1.5 million or something, then I'd be more than willing to give him a chance to find his fitness here because we know what the upside is. If you've got him or you've got Edge 6, I'd much rather give Romeo a shot knowing that he's shown he can do it before rather than someone who hasn't. So I don't even think it might be the end at the moment. And Drew, no, Bob Quinn had left before the front office was sacked just before Thanksgiving. And then we re-signed Aquara in the off-season. It was a choice between him or Kenny Golladay to potentially tag. And it was the first decision, basically, that this new regime made just before the draft, the first draft that they did. So there we go. Let's roll straight on into the training camp. Just to say, for everyone who's watching on live, or if you're listening to the audio pod, welcome. We thank you so much for listening to us, as always, those guys live. If you do want to get in any questions, we'll make sure to get in as many as we can at the end of the show. Already got a couple in from Twitter, and I'm monitoring that through the episode as well. So do get your questions in. Love to hear from you. Training camp. Just a quick look back at how we've done this week, starting at day 6, which is the day after recording last time, and thank you to Ant for going through my notes and trying to make sense of all of my acronyms and whatever. I know that was not the easiest thing to do if you hadn't prepared it in the first place, but there we go. All according to Pride of Detroit, because I was limited on time prepping for this one. So, day 6, physicality intensified, plenty of energy throughout practice. Swift is not losing a one-on-one at all, has not lost one yet, especially in the passing game. Jamar Jefferson making plays, definitely RB4 right now, but coming into the mix for RB3 potentially. Malcolm Rodriguez continuing to impress, gave 2 massive blows in run defense, hitting his gap. Yeah, one Pride 40 confirmed what I said then, which is good. Day 7 was a light practice, not much to report here, basically a walk through. Day 8, tight end James Mitchell getting his first 11 on 11s on his walk back from major injury in 2021. Goff looking very sharp. Blau also having a good day, but Boyle did not. Swift still uncoverable, especially in the pass games. Shane Zylstra making the most of his opportunities at tight end, stacking back-to-back really good days, especially in the passing game. Raymond potentially had the best day of anyone, dominating in his one-on-ones from the slot. Josh Reynolds also impressed. The chemistry between all the receivers and Goff appear very good. Cornerbacks, though, having a rough day, as you might imagine, with the wide receivers doing really well. Someone else has got to suffer. Amani Oruwariye and Will Harris both struggling. Iffy, however, made a nice interception reading the quarterback on the back end late. Let's take a stop there. Got 2 more days to go through after that. Anything you guys want to pick up from those few days?
I read that if he had spoken to, I think, some of the press, and he said that he's fitting really well and it's safety now. I think he's accepted the move and he's decided to get fully stuck in. He's just thinking about that one position now. So it fills me with hope. Like I say, sometimes players don't want to swap position. Sometimes guys don't always buy in, but I think he realizes this is his way into the team. He sees a chink in the armor, that weakness at safety that I think he can exploit. And I think it's going to work really well there. And receivers, Goff looks really good. Chark is lighting shit up. Like the receivers are just on a really good thing right now. Goff's riding the hot hand daily. So it's looking good. Like I said, compared to where we were a year ago, where it was rusty, good day, bad day. There's a level of consistency right now, which is looking good.
Somewhere in the world, Steve's ears just pricked up when you said riding the hot hand. You know how much he loves that statement. He might be out there listening somewhere, but I mean, I don't know. I still think if he's getting shafted because of Will Harris, and I don't like it, I think if he should be practicing at outside corner, I don't think he should be practicing at safety. I think he should be where he's good at, but hey ho, the move's been made. It is what it is now. The concerning thing and what's not been put in there is Levi's not training at all. And, he's taken yet another knock. He is not training. And I'm getting concerned now because, this is another second round pick we've invested in someone and we're getting nothing back off it. And, ideally, we want him to have a full slate of preseason action, get him in there, get him all the reps we can, get him ready for the season. And not training is a serious sign. It didn't seem like the worst injury at the time when it happened. It was nothing was big was made out of it. Where is he? Why is he not playing? What's wrong with him? And what is the severity of the injury? Because there's something keeping him out. I think there's something they're not telling us about him. So I'm really concerned as far as he goes. Outside of the rest of that, you know what? It's nice to see the receivers and the offense doing well, but the offense is our strength in this team. We want it to do well. Like we want the offensive line to be absolutely bullying the defensive line, really, because it's the biggest strength in our team, and they have been. Penei Sewell's been locking Aiden Hutchinson down for most part, and that's what you want to see, because one's the rookie, one's the second-year guy who's insanely high ceiling. So it's good to see, but yeah, Levi is really, really concerning me right now.
I know that Jeff Risdon shares your concern on that point as well. Sorry, Ryan.
And Okuda, where is he? Like I said, he's not taken to the field in like 3 days. I know they're giving him one rest day. It's been confirmed they gave him 1 day off, and it's not injury related, but he is not taking part in team drills. He's not been working out last few days. He's not been known. I saw that in the last few days, which is also worrying. So Will Harris is getting cooked by guys, and Jeff's not even there to take him out in relief.
And Swift's not been practicing the last few days either. So I think they've toned his workload down for one reason or another. I'm hearing nothing about Julian, which is concerning, because he's fighting for his spot. He's right on the roster bubble. He needs to make a go of it at this outside linebacker position, or his spot on the roster is in severe danger. And yet you're hearing nothing about him. Yet you're hearing stuff about Houston. And I know Campbell says Houston is a ways away just yet, but he's showing the right attitude to get on this team. And he's showing the right level of development to get on this team. What's Julian doing? Why are we not hearing about him? Literally, it's nothing. Although I will say outside of that, I've been a bit negative there, but Malcolm, he's a guy. He's the guy. We said it from very early on. He is much better than what his day 3 pick in the draft insinuates that he can be. And I mean, Christ on a bike, he's already training with the firsts. That's how much they're impressing him. And yes, I know linebacker's not a big depth thing here, but everyone's got to work their way up there. Even Charles Harris, when he came last year, had to work his way up from the thirds when we had no edge rushers. So, you've got to show the requisite amount of skill, and you've got to show the right mindset for Dan Campbell to trust you to get up with the first team. And Malcolm Rodriguez has done that. And everything we've said about him in terms of how he plays, how the height is not a disadvantage like lots of people say that it is coming true. You're seeing that he's a hard worker and he's going to be a starter in this team sooner rather than later. That is a hill I will still continue to die on. you will not be long before you see him getting serious reps on this team. And I've just been so thrilled with his attitude in camp and, the way he's gone about it and the way he's proven to everyone that he belongs in this first team.
I mean, for me, I'm just not worried about Okuda at all. I mean, the guy's been injured for 18, 20 months. If he's being held out, not injury related, because they are managing his workload, making sure he's not stacking really, really intensive days and managing his rehab, because he's fully fit, but he's still rehabbing, right? So manage the workload, make sure that he's going as hard as he can on limited reps. That's absolutely fine by me, which is what I kind of have read that to be. But Ryan could be right in that, it's worrying that he's being held out. But, the season's a ways away yet, and we've had enough injuries already. Let's be cautious. We've got Steve Collins in the Twitch chat just saying, come on, Ryan, you can't be saying that as copyright Tom Wilkinson, that riding the hot hand crap. Also, Eric Schlitz said
Told you it'd be out there.
Yeah. Eric said on the Breakdown podcast that they were using Julian Okwara in lots of different situations on the defensive line this week, which is why you might not have heard about him a lot from his natural position. But there we go.
No, I've just not heard about anything about him full stop. Like, literally nothing. So, they're trying to find the position there for him, but when people aren't saying nothing about you, I mean, sometimes it's a good thing in camp, but it's not what I want to hear from a guy who has a big point to prove this year in terms of fitness and consistency of play.
Right, let's turn to the next couple of days of camp. Just actually one bit of news which has just dropped from the recent presser, which was about half an hour ago. Dan Campbell did confirm that they plan to play the starters for the first quarter of the preseason opener on Friday, so that's going to be really interesting to see. All right, day 9 of the training camp. Vet day off for a lot of people, or limited vet days. So Decker, Swift, Okuda, Julian Okwara not playing with the day off. Other vets were limited in the day, just managing their workload. Rodriguez repping with the 1s at the Mike position and 2s at will. Jared Goff continuing to gain momentum. Him and Chuck with a lovely connection. However, Alex Anzalone did pick off Goff in the end zone in the practice at some point. With Cephas out, Tom Kennedy's been taking reps at the X position with the 2s, which has allowed Raymond to stay in the slot, where again he gave the secondary an absolutely tumultuous time from that position. Several people in that secondary have highlighted him as the hardest guy to cover in camp so far this year. Tim Boyle had a bad series to finish with situational stuff. He suffered sacks versus James Houston and Savion Smith. Savion Smith also caused them another problem in a different rep in that series. Bobby Price and Mark Gilbert apparently have separated themselves to be the backup to outside cornerback above Mike Hughes. Mike Hughes now really kind of looking like he's going to be competing at slot only, although he is taking reps at CB4 every now and again. Some nice PBUs in the session as well, one for Jared Davis and another for Ifeatu Melifonwu. And this is the point at which CJ Moore now comes off the NFI list, as I said earlier. He repped with the 1s at personal protector on the punt team. That was Tracy Walker before then. And apparently our special teams coordinator, Dave Phipp, has said that he quite likes Tracy Walker playing that position. So my idea about CJ Moore making the side basically purely on that basis seems to me under threat. Going into day 10, this is the Lions family day now at Ford Field. Chark, the star of the day, 4 catches, 76 yards, 2 touchdowns. Goff also did great, 13 catches from 17 attempts, 171 yards, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. It was mostly against the seconds and thirds, starting off in good field position, so maybe that is a little misleading as a stat line, but he was still pretty perfect. And Austin Bryant apparently continued to be a nuisance like he has been all the way through camp. 1 tackle for a loss, a sack, and another pressure. I was listening to the Breakdown podcast today, and he basically said, Schlitt, that he'd written off Bryant with us taking Pascal and Hutchinson in the draft. He thought, well, Bryant's just a goner. Whatever he does, he's done. But with Okwara not jumping off the page, as Ant has rightly said, and with Houston a little ways away, Bryant has apparently made absolutely the most of camp so far, and has gone from, in Eric's mind, being he has no chance to maybe he has a chance, which for someone that we've maligned as someone with injury problems before, I mean, at least he's doing absolutely everything that he can, boys.
And he showed at the end of the season that he could produce on the field. So, I mean, yeah, just let them go for it, and whoever they feel battles out to win should be there. But like I say, everyone up to but not including Harris and Hutch should be on the table in that room. So, yeah, just let them fight it out. If Bryant's the one who comes in and does really well, obviously I'm hoping he's probably going to get a lot of reps in preseason, given the fact they'll probably not use Hutch and Harris a lot. So he's got a chance to prove himself.
Yeah, the fact that Pascal's been hurt has helped Bryant massively because he's just able to steal those reps away on the second and then step in. Like I say, he's going to get a good look. He'll be rotating between him and Houston probably through preseason. Second, third, fourth quarters, the moment the starters come off, those will be gobbling up the snaps. So they could both be fighting for maybe one position. Like say one lands on the practice squad, but there's got as good as chances any.
Yeah, just a point on the practice squad, because Geordie Mantron has just said how many people can we protect. It's 4, but they have to pass waivers first, and then they get signed to the practice squad. So when we cut it down to 85 and 80 and then 53, all of those players are cut, and they are available on waivers. Now, obviously, every team is going to do this at the same time. So there's lots of people available, and it's not like someone being cut before that time and the team can just decide whether to take someone or not. There's going to be a lot of people available, and potentially more people may pass through than at some other point. But there are some people on this team that are going to be cut, and they will not make it to our practice squad. There are too many players that are apparently doing really well in camp that they will get signed, and some of them might even start for other teams at this rate.
Hopefully Tim Boyle's a goner after Friday.
I would maybe. Yeah. Oh, they can both go. I've said at this point, I don't care who they bring in. They can bring in anybody. I would gladly dispense with the pair of them for even a complete unknown at this point, because at least they might give me something different. We know what we're going to get.
At least Blowing Camp's getting a bit more positive. Boyle just doesn't seem at it. Like I said, on Friday will probably, I think, be the nail in his coffin. If he does Dyer for a whole half, because he'll probably get a half, I'd get rid of him on Saturday morning. Actually, do you know what? I probably won't even let him get back on the plane. He can get back on the bus.
I disagree. I don't think there are that many players on this side who are going to get signed up to be starters elsewhere. I think we have to be realistic. I think we have a long list of meat for the grinder on here that is just going to go elsewhere. I don't think we're going to be really cutting at positions where we're going to cut people who people want. Not unless we'll make shocks at receiver or in the edge room.
All right, so that was all of training camp that I had prepped so far. There have obviously been a couple of days since. Oh no, there was yesterday. Was that day off yesterday? I can't even think. I think it was day off yesterday.
They don't train Sundays.
Yeah. So there we go. So obviously today is going on right now, so we don't have to worry about that. There's an article actually from ESPN which I haven't put in the news, but apparently the Lions have jumped 21 spots in ESPN's NFL rankings of under 25-year-old talent. We obviously know that the Lions have one player above the age of 30, so the fact that we've got a lot of young talent is perhaps not crazy to my mind. But the Lions are in the top 10 in terms of young talent. So you think about some of the players that are going to be included in that. There's Saul Hutchinson and Jameson Williams, but also DeAndre Swift, Amon Brown, Levi Onwuzurike, Aleem McNeil, Derek Barnes, Jeff Okudah, Julian Okwara, and then there's a few guys just older than that too. But we were 23rd last year, and now we're in the top 10. It's a big leap.
I'm sorry, but after that pile of balderdash they wrote about offensive lines the other day, ESPN's just lost its credibility. It's gone. I don't believe. In fact, I'm not giving them the time of day anymore. They're going to write clickbait rubbish like that, then they're done. I like that we've got so many young players, but we already know we've got good young players. We don't need a national media outlet to tell us that we've got a good young core here. We know we do.
I mean, it's great. It's not based off of half the people you named. I don't think the ESPN give a hoot about Okudah or Levi, but I'd say Aleem, Swift, Hutch, Jameson Williams, Amon-Ra, and Sewell. They're probably the guys that probably warrant the rating. Everyone else, Yeah, they just happen to be under 25 and fall under it. But I'd say that's the real crops, the real bread and butter that we're banking on. Aleem, I think Aleem came pretty high on a ESPN list himself this season. I can't remember what the position was, but I think they said he was going to be one of the biggest risers under 25. I think he was in the top 10.
He made PFF's all-rookie team last year.
Yeah.
He was the only one of our rookies to do that.
He's got some love this year.
Oh, rightly so. He's going up against Frank in training now all year, so you'll see a massive, massive leap from him.
I think, like I say, we're having so many young players, we're not going to reap the benefits for maybe another year or two. Until they bed in and ground down, when they all get to like 26, 27, 28, I think then we'll be good to go then.
Well, we won't, because we'll have to pay them all, and then half of them will walk. That's the trouble with this thing. You've got to kind of get the fine line between having the right amount of experience and the right amount of youth. Have too much youth, and you've got a very short window to use it all before you're trading it away and starting again. But I think that one more year should be fine for these lot, and then you really start getting excited about the young core.
So let's speak a little bit about the ESPN article that you referenced as well. I didn't prep that because I wasn't going to give it the time of day, but I do think that.
Oh no, we don't give it time of the day. We should not give it the time of day.
So it wasn't. I'll say this, and it's something that I think a lot of people have got twisted. It ain't an opinion piece. Like, it isn't an opinion piece, and people who are saying, "Oh, our line's a top 5 line. How are they underrating our line this badly?" Well, there's a really good reason why they're underrating our line. And it's Taylor Decker was injured for most of the year and had a slow start to begin with. He was still better than Matt Nelson, but that's not saying much. And he grew into it, but he spent most of the year out. We didn't have our starting centre, so trying to project what he's going to do is difficult. Jonah Jackson is a mid-tier starting guard who's done very well from where he was drafted, but he's not like a all-pro guard, right? He's good. And then you have Vaitai, who is not living up to his pay bracket, but he's better than most people think he is. But he's still not fantastic. Everyone's identified him as the weak link of the line. And then Saul, if you take his season as an average last year, had a rough start at left tackle, move over to right tackle and play great. Take the average of that season. It's good. And we all think he's going to be fantastic because of how he finished the year. And we think that Frank's going to be the guy he was 2 years ago. And we think Decker's going to be really, really great. And Jackson's going to be fantastic. And Vitai's going to be really good too. And it's going to add up to a great line. But if you take a scientific look on what happened last year, well, I'm going to use that to project this year. It's obvious why we're down this far. It ain't an opinion piece. It's just a sort of statistical, well, this is what it's going to be because it's what it was last year. Like, anyone who thinks that anyone's put any thought into this article is not understanding the exercise that was done here.
It's an exercise in picking stats to make your argument, to make a point. That's the thing with stats. You can cherry pick whatever you like to make an argument look in its light, but you've sort of done our line there. But look at some of the guys in front of us. How in God's name have they justified some of the ones in front of us? You've just justified ours there.
The Bears were 11th. What stats put them there?
Yeah.
They were shite last year. They got Justin Fields murdered.
Yeah. There is absolutely nothing there that justifies them in that line. All it is stats taken that don't really mean a damn thing and put out as something that, appears to be a big thing. It's just a piece of garbage clickbait. And you know what? It's like, I don't go for that. I just don't. I think it's cheap and it's not real journalism. We could all do something like this where we could.
That I agree with. Not real journalism.
Yeah,
correct. But
okay.
So if you look at what the Chicago Bears, what they first off say, this is a pretty stunning rank. So they acknowledge that it's a bit mental. But they say, Reef can make it better, which he probably can. He didn't do great last year, but he is better than what was there before. Borum, the right tackle, had a 90% pass block win rate, which was better than anyone on the Lions last year, which I think is nuts, but their ranking system is different. And I mean, I'm not the one making their ranking system, but you've got to figure there are some smart people at ESPN doing this, right? It's not total morons. So, okay,
no, it's total morons.
Okay, fine. We can say it's total morons. And then they can say Lucas Patrick is a good centre, basically. So, fine, I kind of buy it. The fact that they have the Rams at 12, I think, is also a bit Really? I don't think so. Whitworth retiring is going to make that really hard.
That's what I mean. It's not just for the last one. It's just questionable all round, and it's just like, well, you can do it that way if you want, but for me, I just don't get why you bother taking the time to do it. You can, like I say, you can cherry pick any stat to make something look good, and yeah, we're just.
What I would say to you, Ant, is it's been a long time since we've seen all 5 on the field, and you are one for very much wanting to see something on the field. I will say that ESPN are basically mimicking you, saying we want to see it on the field first. That is all it is.
But I saw 4/5 of it on the field last year, for the vast majority. Well, for at least half of it.
No.
Decker was back by week 6, 7. Decker wasn't out that long.
I thought Decker came back after like week 9. No?
Okay. He was only about 6, 7 games. You saw 4/5 of that line for at least, well over half the season. And Evan Brown wasn't exactly bad. Evan Brown was one of the better centers in this league.
Average.
I don't know. Maybe
average, which was above our expectation.
One of the better backups in the league then.
Oh,
but he was still decent by the way he went.
Best backup center, definitely.
Oh no, I just dislike shoddy clickbait journalism. So hey ho, there we go.
Mike Hodges is in the chat and he says, in my opinion, though Goff's confidence with these new skilled players will help our success, the accountability that is being instilled throughout the team will determine our final record. And then he's put continued, so he's clearly writing a follow-up to that, and I'll come back to it in a second. Drew says about the ESPN article, what this boils down to is that Anthony simply doesn't like it. Which I find quite funny.
Exactly. I said I didn't like it. I'm not hiding the fact that I didn't.
I was right because Drew's just confirmed it, and I trust in Decker's first game, week 10 last year. I thought it was quite late.
Well, it's still 7 games. Still a lot.
Even longer than that. Nah, 8 games.
No, 7.
8 games.
17 games, Matt. Hang on.
Week 10.
Oh, week 10. We'd have had bye by then, wouldn't we?
Yeah, game 9. So game 9 through 17. That's 9 games.
I told you then, half. We're playing semantics here.
We are playing semantics.
Let's not have semantics played on us. We're the Brits here. We should be good at this. So
we're Brits. We live on semantics.
Exactly. I'm freely going to admit that I didn't like that article. So it's just what it is. But
no, I mean I didn't like the article either. But I think the thing about any sort of journalism or any sort of article that I see out there is I think that saying it's a cheap shot against us is a cheap point, because it's not like they just ranked the lines. They ranked.
I said it was a cheap shot against the entire league. I didn't say it was just us. I said all across the board it was awful. Pretty much.
Fair. Well, so I always like to understand where these guys are coming from, and that's why PFF gets so maligned, right? Is because you get a lot of people basically not understanding what it is and not liking the way they do it. But you have to accept the premises that they make in order to make the data verifiable. And if you don't like the way it's being made, that's fine. And ESPN have got a model where they built this data, and that's also fine. You don't agree with it, and that's cool. But in order to get the data out, you have to put the work in. And I respect that someone actually went to some work to do this. I just hate the way they did it. But, it's a different thing. So, I don't know.
Hey, hell.
Det Fanman says Matt Nelson's removal made the entire line better. True, but not as a 6th man. When he came as a 6th man, he was bloody effective, and I loved him when he did it. Right, let's move this on. We have preseason game 1 to look forward to, boys, on Friday at Ford Field against the Falcons, 6 p.m. Eastern, 11 p.m. UK time on NFL Network. Coach Arthur Smith has stated that on Saturday that everybody from the starters could play if they're healthy. He confirmed that all 3 quarterbacks, Mariota, Ridder, and Felipe Franks, will play. I don't know if you've been following Falcons camp. I haven't. But apparently Felipe Franks has partially converted position from quarterback to tight end. He is basically doing that sort of New Orleans role that they love so much about having a quarterback who's pretty athletic, who also flexes out at tight end every now and again. He's only 223 pounds, so he's a little light for the position, but apparently he's been making his presence felt And this game's happening on the Friday the 12th, and August 16th is the first cut down to 85 players, boys. So 8 days away from the first cut down day. It's not long to go. I obviously said earlier that the Lions confirmed the starters are playing the first quarter.
Well, yeah, I mean, this is a massive test for a lot of our players. Because let's be brutally honest, the Falcons, in terms of the skill that they possess on their team, are one of the weakest teams we're going to come up against this season. So you need to go out there and show that you can dominate the bad teams. And, I don't want to see Marcus Mariota coming out and slicing us up. I don't care if it's preseason. Preseason sets the tone. I don't know if you remember back, but last year in preseason, our offense looked anemic. It looked very difficult to score points. It was not functioning well. That translated over into the season. For a good half of it, the offense just looked absolutely garbage. So you've got to start setting this tone early. You've got to start putting some hits in. You've got to start making some plays. You've got to make your presence known. Like I say, the Falcons are not packing anything that I'm scared of in terms of that offense. Oh no, Pitts is in there, so you've got him. But when it comes to the offense, I don't want Marcus Mariota slicing up my secondary, because if he does, then we're in bloody big trouble this season. So a lot of players have a lot to prove this week. I just hope that we come out with intensity and, play like we mean it. I don't want these just to be glorified training sessions. I want them to go out there and really play hard and show that they want a spot on this 53.
I agree. I'm one of those people. I don't give a damn what the second or third stringers do. Don't give a shit. I might turn off after the first quarter, but when that offense is on there, when our first team is out there, I want to win that quarter 14-0 up. When our starters are on against their starters, that's all I care about. I want Goff to go out there and show exactly what he's done in practice. I want him to slice our defensive backs just like theirs. I want him to take it to AJ Terrell, and I want DJ Chark to put him in a body bag. That's all I care about. Like I said, and same with the defense as well. Those drives where our first string defense is on, I don't want Mariota escaping, doing his little pansy runs, trying to slice through them. I want someone to light him up. Like I said, I don't care about their players, their first stringers. Go in there and sharpshooters. You're headhunting, you're going in to kill. Like I said, I don't care if it's preseason. It matters, because last year we looked crap and it showed. And going into week 1 last year, I was not confident in the slightest, because we looked like we just casually breezed our way through preseason. I want to say bang, bang, and I want some intensity. I want some tempo. And I want to see good play calling as well. I want to see them split it. I know they said it's going to take to week 1 to decide, but I want to see right from the off Ben Johnson making his presence felt. Don't feel bullied by Dan. Don't feel like you can't speak up or say something. I want him to go out there with confidence and show Dan that he can run this offense and it is his offense.
So for me, what I want to see out of all of this is like, okay, so the starters, I actually am pretty much the opposite. I don't really care. I don't think it matters for the starters. For the starters, they will be doing still kind of installs. Some of them will still be learning the playbook. The chemistry maybe is not 100% still there yet. They're still developing that. If things all go to pot, it ain't emblematic of what's happening. How many times have we seen teams go 4-0 in the preseason and go 0-16 in the regular season? We've seen that before. And how many times have we seen teams go 0-4 in the preseason and go on to the playoffs? Like, the record doesn't matter. And so what the starters do doesn't matter. But we have so much competition for those kind of final 15, 20 spots on the roster that for the first time in, as long as I can remember, what happens with the second team and the third team actually matters this time, because some of the guys that are going to get cut, we're going to like, and we're going to want to be on this team, and they're not going to make it, and some of them might not make it on the basis of what happens in these games. For me, it's vitally important as to who makes it. So if Jared Davis comes in and lights a few people up, that's a tick in the box for me. If you've got Jeff Okudah potentially taking reps because he hasn't got viability as a starter right now, I think Will Harris might actually win that battle. So whoever's repping with that second team and doing a lot of the reps, seeing him do well is going to be really important. What about Malcolm Rodriguez? If he actually does it in 3 quarters of a game, he might vie for a starting spot, and it's going to be down to what happens in these games. So I think people writing off the last three quarters of this game are going to miss a lot of what's going on here, and safety too. I mean, like it's huge what's going on all the way through the defense, especially the offense. I think is kind of sewn up a lot of the time. Maybe wide receiver 5 or 6 is interesting, but barring that, it's all about defense.
But that's the thing, you're highlighting a point. How many starters are there on that defense? There's precious few who are bona fide starters. So when I hear this, I don't care about the starters crap. I mean, the defense, there aren't none. There are a lot of players in there who can be, but there are so preciously few actual starters, actual starting caliber players on that defense that I want to see them go in hell for leather from play one. I don't want my starting group on defense to go, oh yeah, well, we're starters. I don't really care about this. It's just going to be a glorified run out. I don't want to see that. I'm sorry, but you ain't a starter. You got to prove that you are. As with the offense, I want to see you do something. You know, I hear people saying, "Oh, it's just a run out. Oh, we don't want them to get hurt, etc." No, you start your momentum now. I don't care about this. Teams go 4-0 are bad and teams go 0-4 are good. It's how you perform. It's the intensity of your play, and there's much more at stake here. It's like the tempo of the offense. You want to see that because that matters for the season. I don't want my starting offense to be lackluster and shoddy because, they're just, they're out there for a little bit of a run, but I just don't want them to get hurt. Oh, no, screw that. I want to see them playing full throttle. I want them to show us that they can run this offense the way that they tell us they're going to, that there's going to be no more of these shitty penalties for, running the clock down and all this. I want to see intensity from the beginning. I don't care about the results. I don't care if we go 0-3, but I care about us putting some points down, making plays, and showing that it matters. So no, I don't want to see any of this protecting the starters because they're not, they've not earned that right, most of them, especially on defense. None of them have earned that right. If you're not going to play hard in preseason and show the tempo that you are going to enter this season with, it's like Ryan said last year, he had no confidence going into week 1 because he saw how lifeless we were in preseason. Don't want to see that year. And if anyone looks like they're half-arsing it out there, then their name should be on the cut list next week. This means something, and I don't care if you think otherwise. I believe it.
Yeah,
I'm pretty much right on that. I agree. Also, results, like I say, the final score means fuck all. Like I say, I've always said that. I'd like the starters, like I say, to leave the field, maybe be a score or 2 up. That's fine. If then we go ship 40, is what it is. If we've done our job and the starters look good in good rhythm, that's cool. Like I say, final score, don't really care. Like I say, it don't matter if we get hiding, don't matter if we bitch them down. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have any reflection at all on what happens week 1. The score will never matter. But like I say, for me, it's just the tempo, the offense, the player calling. I want to see differences from last year. I want to see a little bit more risk taking as well. Trick players. Let's really, throw all the toys out. Let's pull mum's box from out under the bed. Let's get all the toys out. Let's have a good old time. Let's try some trick plays. Let's see what don't work, what does work. So, and let's say kicking, special teams. Let's give everyone a go because there's a battle right on as well now between the kickers. Apparently, I know we all love Patterson, but apparently Seibert's leading the way. So let's give everyone a go in that sense too.
And just I just want them to show that they want it, especially when it's coming into these positions that are, the edge room, Julian Aquara, Austin Bryant, James Houston. These guys are on the bubble who, I want to see them want it. I want to see them wanting to get back on the field, not just taking the day off when they're done. You want to see that enthusiasm. You want to see that passion to come on and do something. The corner room, you want to see things in there. The secondary, I want to see make plays. You're getting sliced up by Marcus Mariota. I don't care if it's preseason or not. You're in trouble. You really are, especially with the receiving options they've got outside of Pitts. I don't want to, I have expectations this year. I have demands of this team. And, for me, we need to put out a message that this is how we're going to play this year. And this is the approach we're going to take. No half-ass in it, just trying to get the players through it uninjured. We're going to get injuries whether we like it or not. I think we got through pretty unscathed last year, and then look what happened during the season. They just fell to bits. So screw that. Get them out there, get them playing, get the intensity going, get the hits coming in, get them really battle hardened for when the season starts. Because we are sure as hell going to need it week 1 against Philly. We're coming up against one of the best offensive lines in football, and we're coming up against pretty good defensive line as well. So those trench players, I want them fighting fit and ready for that. I don't want them having a half-assed preseason, not taking no meaningful snaps and doing anything there. I want them battle ready. Otherwise, they're just going to walk right over us.
I mean, if there is a team that could walk right over us, it is Philly, right? We have to be ready.
Yeah, this is all about tempo for this season. That week 1 is so critical for our season that I would argue preseason's more important than ever at the minute. Getting them ready, because that's going to be a fight. They're one of the few teams who are going to be able to put up a massive fight against us on both sides of the trenches. We've got good trenches here. There are a lot of teams who won't be able to deal with at least one aspect of that, but they're going to hit us just as hard as we hit them. So the players have to be ready. Decker's coming back off half a season out injured. Ragnar's coming back off a full season injured. They need meaningful snaps on an NFL pitch, which is what, Dan Campbell says himself. You can't replicate that. So there's no point mollycoddling them over preseason and then just, letting them loose against these guys who are coming up. They're going to need serious snaps to get ready for this. And if we get hammered week 1, that could alter our season drastically, and we don't want that.
One thing that I'm really looking forward to in this first preseason game actually is the running back battle. So Craig Reynolds seems to have sewn up running back 3 right now. But seeing him versus Jermar Jefferson, Godwin Ikubuke, Justin Jackson, it's going to be a real battle at that position. And you know what? All of them have got the capability of making some really big plays, Ryan. It's going to be one of the few places where when the starter goes off the field that you can perhaps be assured of some really good play from the Lions.
Yeah, because it's unknown now how many backs the Lions are going to carry. Is Jackson just a camp body? Because he's got a very small, limited window of work at the Chargers, even though he did pretty well at Northwestern. Does he have a real chance of making this roster right now? Who knows? Godwin is fighting for his life. 70% of people have written him off because he's a butterfingers. He needs to prove people wrong. If he's going to take meaningful carries, he cannot cough that ball at once. He coughs that ball up once in preseason, he will be cut the day after. He will be gone. It will not be tolerated whatsoever. Like I say, but Jermar Jefferson, Craig Reynolds, I'm really excited to see them. I want to see, is Craig Reynolds a flash in the pan, or is he a legitimate guy that can carry a rock in the NFL? Because right now, he's meandering either side of the line, and that's what I want to know. And Jermar Jefferson has shown that home run potential, but can he be more consistent across a larger workload? It's going to be interesting to see. Like I say, it cost us capital. We put capital into him. So ideally, you want him to be running back 3. But if you can't unseat Reynolds, who came in as a guy off the street and took a job, well, he's going to struggle out for this year. But it's one position we've actually got depth at. It's just now them fighting between themselves. It's going to be a Royal Rumble. Last one that goes over the top rope is not making the team.
And also, you've got the wide receiver battle too. I mean, you've got Cephas obviously not repping right now, but he's going to be fighting for his life when he comes back because Trinity Benson's breathing down his neck, and there's a few other guys. I know that Ant doesn't like it, but I think there are a lot of people that agree with both sides of our position on whether Quintez is in trouble here or not. But you've got Khalif Raymond, who, through multiple reports, are basically saying he's having the absolute camp of his life. But I think a lot of people would regard him as wide receiver 5 or 6, especially when J-Mo comes back. Benson's playing well. Tom Kennedy's playing well. There are a few other guys. They got the newbie who got signed recently, the kick returner, Maurice Alexander. Yeah, so wide receiver-wise, we've got to see some things too. You've got to hope that the quarterbacks can pull it out for them to give them a chance on the field.
Oh, yeah, there's loads of depth there. I mean, not even mention Pimpleton and Johnson. I would hope to see them a lot over these games because I do think both had legitimate shots. If not making the roster, certainly making the practice squad and being called up in case of injury. And the guys you want here, and you want them to play well. So there's a lot to be said here about this, but I just think we're going to go extra receiver this year. You go where you're strong, and I still think we're going to dump the quarterback 3. He'll be gone. It's an extra spot there, whether it goes to running back, whether it goes to receiver, whether it goes to the defensive line, you don't know. But, the opportunity is there for them to carry an extra slot. So it'll be interesting. But, yeah, you do hope they do well. I guess we know who our main guys are. I think when all the starters go, the receivers are the ones to watch. And again, maybe some of the names in that edge rotation will be ones to watch as well. Because, again, a lot of them have got something to prove. The corners, a lot of them have something to prove. So there's some spots where it'll be fun.
I feel sorry for the depth receivers because the level of quarterback play is going to drop off the back. If Boyle's throwing in the ball and the receiver's going to look great, possibly not. So all I hope is that he can actually pull his socks up, pull his fucking finger out, and give them some catchable balls. Because if they look like crap in that second half and nothing comes their way, I say it's going to be down to probably quarterback play more than anything. Like I say, right now there is a big battle on the hands, so I just hope they do them justice and actually give them a chance to compete. Don't sail on them, don't throw them out wide. Don't like Danny Dimes, who's can't even throw an out to Kenny Golladay. That's one of the funniest videos I've seen today.
It was atrocious.
Giants fans are sick of Kenny Golladay already, and I'm so glad we didn't pay him because he looked like he don't give a shit there now. He's got his Wonga, he's got his cheddar. He's not asked. So, but no, I think I agree, Van. I'd say 2 QBs, and I think it's going to be offensive line or receiver. We'll carry an extra one of those. Someone will emerge from camp, and they'll warrant that extra space.
Right, so let's go into the questions. And if any of you live in the chat have not asked a question, or if you want to ask another question, please do get them in, and we will answer them at the end of all of this. Got a question from Kevin Longshaw at Andrew C41021720 on Twitter, who asks, who do you think will secure the backup quarterback job, and do you think the Lions will roster 3 quarterbacks on the 53-man roster? What do you think they'll do? What do you think they should do? I think is a better way of phrasing that.
Don't care and no. Whoever gets it, I don't care, but we'll take one and that's it.
I'll just say Blau and no, not a hope in hell. I would seriously question carrying 3 quarterbacks. What Boyle brings to this team, I have absolutely no idea. We have not seen him bring anything so far, and he's been here like 18 months. Unless he lights shit up, you cannot warrant or even justify carrying him a roster spot. Even at the vet minimum, even if he's on like $1.5 million, it's just not worth it.
I'm surprised there's not even at least been some murmurings about us out there looking for another quarterback, just for competition, if anything. It's really shocking that no one's been brought in to challenge either of these two, because neither of them are worth a damn at quarterback too. So
if on Friday they both look really bad, I'd like to see us bring in and work out quarterback. I think we've worked out one other quarterback from one of the small Michigan schools.
Yeah.
I don't remember his name. I think he was
OTAs,
only here a day or two.
Bring Montez back.
Yeah, so it's quite a while ago, but there are guys out there.
Bring Montez back. He's at least been here a year or so and knows a little bit about it. Yeah, give him a shot. We all thought he might anyhow before they released him. Hell, I'm pretty sure Ellaby's still out there somewhere as well. I think he got cut, didn't he? Bring Ellaby in, give him a go. We can't be no worse. He was the Western Michigan QB last year. Can't do no worse.
So for me, I think that it will be Boyle. I think it'll be out Blau. I think that they should carry 2. I think they will carry 3. I just think it's the way that this front office is wired. I do not think they'll give me my wish of only having 2 quarterbacks. I'd love to use that extra spot on another wide receiver, on another running back, because we've got such depth there that I think that they do more than a quarterback 3. I mean, if you want a 3rd quarterback, there's the practice squad. I don't think you need to carry 3 QBs on the main roster. And if someone gets pinched in waivers, then they do. Who cares? Like, if we're cutting them, it should be a sign to the rest of the league that they ain't good enough. So just do it. And if they get poached, I don't care at all.
You'll find out quick in preseason, because if I remember rightly, last year Goff obviously took the first, and then it went Boyle, Blau, then Boyle again for the remaining 3 quarters. I think they put the second guy obviously, and they gave him 2 quarters. So whoever comes out second quarter on Friday will be the presumptive number 2 for now. Not that I'm sure that's a nailed down spot, but the presumptive number 2 at the time.
Cooldown Rat in the Twitch chat did clarify that quarterback that we tried out in OTAs. It was Connor Sampson. So there we go. There we go. Mike Hodges in the YouTube chat asks, do you have confidence that Jeffrey Okudah will shine this season?
No, I don't have confidence that he'll shine. And that's not because I don't believe in Jeff's ability. That's because I think he has been backed into such a corner. He's under immense pressure. And he's now fighting his life with Will Harris that has actually kind of maybe shown something. And Will is one of those coaches' favourites. So everything right now is stacked against Jeff. So he is fighting from all fronts. So it's going to be a really hard battle. But if he is able to, first of all, one, he has to win the job back. If we were to start week 1 tomorrow, right now, he would be on the bench. He would not be a starter. I think that's a given. Will would be the starter right now. Will be the starter on Friday. Jeff will not suit up and take starting duties on that first team defense. I'm pretty much guaranteed. So he's already on the outside looking in. So I know his mental health probably has come a long way. He's got a lot tougher mentally. He's faced adversity, but it's going to be really difficult. But I really want him to succeed because I know he's got the tools. He's now got the mental toughness as well. It's just all things need to go his way. He just needs a bit of luck. And that is the thing that's hardest to find.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the same for me. I think the Lions fan in me and, the hopium guy that I am, the positive guy I usually am, although I haven't been much today, but the positive guy in me wants to believe that he's going to be just fine and that this year is the redemption year. He's going to prove everyone wrong, and we're going to get the 3rd round pick, the 3rd overall pick that we placed in, and we'll get that level of skill out of him. The realist in me, though, is just sort of it's nagging at me a little bit. I'm concerned. 2 years, lots of injuries. Like I say, there's had a lot of adversity thrown his way. The fact he's in a training battle camp with Harris at the minute for that spot, it feels like realism's just biting away at that hope that me, the fan, has for him. So I'm not sure. Do I want him to 100% without a shadow of a doubt? I want him to put 2 fingers up against everyone who's ever hated on him and prove them wrong. That's where I'm at with him. But Willie, I just don't know. I don't at this point. It's very difficult. He's coming back from an incredibly hard situation, and he's not coming into a great situation either. That secondary is still very thin in terms of actual talent at the minute. It's a lot of potential talent. So he's going to have to take a leadership senior role very quickly and ball out more, probably quicker than we need him to. So I don't know.
Let's put it this way. If Will Harris does really well and the week before the trade deadline, Jeff says, you know what, I think I can start somewhere else. Would you grant me a trade? I'd be like, do you know what? Yeah, we'll listen to offers for you. I'll let you move on. Go find somewhere where you can start. If Will's playing well and he's struggling, he's on and off the field, I would grant him that trade because I think he could make it somewhere else.
I mean, I think on that point, it really depends how much the compensation is. Because if you offer me a 4th round pick, I ain't taking it. I think that his upside is still higher than that. So let's see what happens. I mean, the thing for me is the way the question is worded, I have to say no. Confidence is something which is earned through experience, and our experience has not been great so far. Now, I ain't doubting his quality. I ain't doubting his character, because you can see it when he's out there. He is more committed than potentially any guy I've ever seen on the field. You see what he can do right now after this catastrophic injury with the squat jumps that he's been doing with weights and, having a ridiculous vertical anyway. The work that he's putting in behind the scenes is absolutely second to none. Does that give me confidence he's going to do it all the way through the year and be a really good cornerback? No, I need to see it, and I think he can do it. That player is in there, definitely. Will it happen? That's a really big question, and I'm not ready yet to crown him as the guy that can do that. But there's no guy I'm pulling for more in this offseason. I want to see him do it here, not somewhere else.
Yeah, and I think that's the same quandary I'm having, when I was talking about the hype speeches and that earlier, and not getting roused by them as much anymore. It's I've seen the potential of what this team can be. I've seen what it can do in spurts, but we need to see it now. It's the same with Jeff. I love seeing his recovery videos, how he's playing, how he's getting on, the recoveries there. I love to see it, but I kind of need to see it on the pitch now for that belief to be taken further. And if they can't do it on the pitch, just like the team, if they still can't do it, then, I'm gonna have big doubts very quickly. And I think that's where I'm at just at the minute with it all. I can't just blindly believe anymore. Because there's so many players this applies to. This is to Jerry Jacobs, to TJ Hawkinson, to Swift, to Romeo Okwara when he comes back, to Ragnar. There's so many players coming back from injury who've shown you what they can do, and but you need to see it. And there's just too many of those instances now. So yeah.
If his body would allow it, I would give him every single snap of every preseason game. He needs those minutes more than anybody else on this roster. No one else needs the playing time more than him to get back up to speed, to get into that mindset and that groove of just get back on autopilot and give him some tough guys like Kyle Pitts. That is just what he needs. We've got some tough wide receiver calls coming up in preseason, and I am happy for him to just stay out there. If things don't go his way, that's fine, but just let him get up to speed, let him go out there. And like I say, I hope that he gets more minutes in preseason than any of the defensive backs, because that is where we will see the bread and butter.
That's it. I think you have to earn your right to not be used in preseason. I think you have to show importance enough to this team that you shouldn't be risked during preseason, and that's why I have so much of the issue of resting all the starters here, because far too many players have not earned the right to miss preseason and be presumed as ready for week one, especially against a team like the Eagles. So I agree with you. I'd love to see him take more snaps here, and you know what? You're going to run the risk of injury in any game. We're going to all run the risk of injury in week one when we play the Eagles. You're going to do it now. Eventually, this is just a league where you get injured and you have to deal with it. And the team dealt with it last year, and you got to do it again. So I agree. I hope he gets plenty of snaps there.
I agree too. It's funny. I'm just watching the YouTube stream of our chat, and we've got the auto closed captions on there, and it's really struggling with your accent, and which I thought was quite funny. It just said that you said to Cherry Jacobs and TJ Hawkins, which I think very good.
It's not a British translator, is it? That's for sure.
No, it is not. Right. We've got a few questions from our own Steve Collins, who's watching along on the Twitch chat. And it's a couple
I hope you're doing well, Steve. He was ill last week, so I hope you're well this week.
Few training camp battles, quick fire. Who do you think is going to win out here? In this first one, I don't think is a battle, because I don't think they play the same position. I know they can play the same position, but I think they do play the same position. First one he's given us is Demetrius Taylor versus Austin Bryant. And I'm just going to say no contest, because I think that Taylor is mainly repping inside and Bryant's mainly repping outside.
It depends, because Taylor plays all along the line. So if you're going against Taylor the edge against Austin Bryant the edge, I would assume that Austin Bryant has the edge on that battle because he's done all right in camp. But he doesn't have the versatility that Demetrius Taylor does. So, I'd be the same. I would say that they're not directly competing against one another. Demetrius Taylor will be going for nose tackle 2 against Kaminsky and all that lot for now, and they might use him situationally as an edge rusher.
Yeah, you're not going to see Austin Bryant play against the run. That is not where you can use his assets best. Whereas Houston will look to be kicked inside on the 4-man front, and he'll hopefully be a bit better against the run. So if they're competing for that DT 4 or 5, I'd say it's probably an unfair battle. You can probably make a case for keeping both.
All right, so there we go. I mean, I agree with basically all of what you've just said there. Taylor, I love his upside. But if Brian keeps balling out in camp, I really like what he might be able to do this season. I am actually willing to give him a pass again. But there we go. A bit of sad news. Olivia Newton-John has passed away.
Oh, that is sad.
That is not about the NFL, but it is sad. Next one that Steve has given us is Sean Dion Hamilton versus Jared Davis.
Oh, Jesus.
Jared Davis, because I'm not convinced Dion Hamilton exists. He's not a real person.
I don't think either
Someone
win.
find me.
I don't think either win. I think they both lose.
You know that
you don't want either of them, but you've made me choose. So
you know that quandary they say between a rock and a hard place. This is like the NFL epitome of rock and a hard place. Oh God. Can I say neither? Oh, both get
I'm
cut?
saying neither.
I'm saying neither. I don't think either of them are in the top 5 linebackers. They're not in the top 5. I don't think we'll carry more than 5 because we're talent deficient there, really. I mean, the only thing that'll save Hamilton is his special teams work, but Davis does special teams work as well, so maybe it'll just come down to who's been the better special teamer. But you know me, I hate carrying guys with little upside as special teamers, so again, I'd not take either.
Yeah, I'm not taking either. Steve's re-clarified the question by saying he was thinking directly for a roster spot rather than direct comparison. So if we're going through that,
so it's like Man 53 or something like that. If you've got them two in this,
well, I don't even know if it's Man 53. It's will either of these guys get in, and if so, which one? Perhaps is the way I'll frame it then. Taylor versus Bryant. I think Bryant's got a better shot right now. I think Taylor has massive upside, but I also think he'll get through waivers. Don't know for sure, but that is my feeling, is that he'll get to practice squad. So we'll see. Dion Hamilton and Davis, I don't care. I don't want either of them.
All I'll say about Taylor is he offers you positional versatility. He'll be a nose tackle too, first and foremost, but he will give you an option off the edge if you need to use him, if your room is affected. Austin Bryant can't do it the other way around. He can't go in and play nose tackle. So I would just say the versatility gives it to Taylor there, and they've been very nice about him in camp as well. So it's not like we've not heard anything about him and he's not doing well. You know, he's performing well. You know, he's an undrafted free agent and he's a ways to go, as they say. But if you want a guy who offers you more for that number 53 spot, then Taylor does.
All right, third battle of 4 is a trio. It's a threesome. It's Obinna Eze versus Matt Nelson versus Dan Skipper. I do not think that the first...
Oh, this is easy.
Yeah? Is it?
It's Matt Nelson as that jumbo package. Dan Skipper. Oh, don't even put him in the threesome. Oh. You could give me the best threesome in the world, and if he's in it, I'm backing out. I'm not interested. I don't want to look at him. I don't even want him in the room. He can't even watch. Like, get rid of Dan Skipper, man. Christ. There's a reason he's been on the lines about 25 times. So what if he's 6'9.5"? Like, he's all the gear and absolutely no idea.
Hey, so size matters, Ryan, especially in a threesome. And what do you think?
Not if you don't know how to use it. Obinna Eze will make the practice squad, and then Matt Nelson will be the last offensive lineman.
See, Ryan's now put a philosophical question in my head as to if I was offered a night with Jessica Biel but had to do it with Dan Skipper involved, would I do it? And I'm now considering whether I would do that or not. So I don't know. These are the philosophical questions. Like, and Ryan, you missed a chance there. You went, it's easy. Then you should have gone, it's Eze. You would have had a chance for some great alliteration just there. Just, it's easy, it's Eze. But
relax. Take it easy.
Well, I mean, technically, we've got Lamb now as well, don't we? So Lamb's fighting it out. I say fighting it in a loose term. I say fighting it in a loose term, but I don't. I would prefer Eze simply from the point what I'm with Ryan. I don't want to keep giving these like older rotational guys who are just like here more chance. I'd rather just invest in youth now and see if I can find something a little bit different. I mean, the one thing Eze has going in his favor is at TCU, they love to run the football there. So he's very good when it comes to his run blocking. And if you want an extra tackle to come in as the sixth lineman, to come in and do the running game while you develop him, Eze can do that. So it's not like, he can't contribute whilst you're bringing up the pass protection aspect of his game. So he's in the right place to be developed whilst also giving us something straight away. So I would like him from that point of view. But I do like Nelson in this role as well. So I kind of I hope they keep both of them. Keep Nelson and keep Eze. Hopefully Eze makes the practice squad, develop Eze up, and I think you'll get a good player out of him eventually. But it might take a year or two to get that pass protection where you want it.
I mean, the thing about Matt Nelson is that he is still a really young guy. So he's 26 years old. And this is now, we're going into his 4th year as an offensive tackle. having been a defensive lineman before that. So the guy has a long time to go. He is still a young guy when it comes to trying to rank these guys. Having said that, I would also go for Eze. I believe in the kid. Like, for what we get out of Matt Nelson as a sixth lineman, I'm with Ann. I think you can get that from Eze too. But his pass blocking potential as a younger guy, not young guy, but younger guy than Nelson, is potentially higher. So I'd rather take the flyer for him. And if you've got to pop him in with the first team because you get an injury, then I'm willing to live with that. I mean, it kind of sucks either way, but with Nelson, you're not going to get exactly great pass protection anyway.
And that's the problem. The pass protection is just, I don't think it's ever going to come. You know that you're going to get a good sixth man out of him. You know you're going to get a good jumbo package man out of him. But when your starting tackles go down and you require someone who can come in to protect a quarterback, you also know that you're going to get a lot of pressures coming from his side of the offensive line. And again, he says young at 26, and me and you were 32, and we like to think we're still young. But I think you have to get to a stage in an NFL player's career where you're like, right, there's nothing more we can do with them. We have to hit the reset button somewhere. And Eze would be hitting the reset button and is at least giving us a chance to do something in future and maybe get a good pass protector out of it. We can just have him a year doing the run game for us. Hopefully the two main tackles stay healthy. And this time next year his pass protection's better and we've got ourselves a good backup tackle who we ain't paying a great amount to. It's fiscally sound for us. That's the situation we want to be in.
Yeah, 100%. If anyone wants to get in a final question, Dr. Detroit is in the house. Dr. Detroit, if you want to get in a question, the last one, I urge you to do that now, or anyone else who's still live. We've got one more at the moment, so we can discuss that. And it might take a little while, so do get that last question in. Paul Jarose on the YouTube
Steve
chat.
had 4. We've done 3.
Oh, yes, sorry, beg your pardon. Last one then, sorry, running backs. You were right, Ant. Thank you for saving me from myself. Godwin Igwebuike versus Justin Jackson.
Ooh. But that means we're taking 5 running backs.
And Kabinda.
Well,
no.
Potential.
No.
Isn't he on PUP right now?
He is.
Yeah.
No chance we're cutting him. Don't even do it.
Oh, I love this. You see, he has a go at me and you around for having our favourites and that, and you've got to use sense and whatnot. But Matt is completely blinded when it comes to Jason Kabinda. We all love him.
Say, friend of the podcast, Jason Kabinda is going to get cut from this team. I will not have it.
Yeah, well, friend of the podcast, Glover Quinn, went on 97.1 today, so it's like, he's just kind of ruined himself a bit there. So,
also. His dad is called De Gaulle Kabinda, which is just all levels of awesome. So I'm not hearing it. He is absolutely staying on this team. Do not make me mute or kick either of you.
Is Jackson a returner, though? Because
No,
I think this question comes down to it. As much as I don't like Godwin and his fumbles, he offers you a running back option and a returning option, whereas Jackson does not. So I think that would give Godwin the edge there, but this is talking a running battle 5 that we're not going to have. So I would take Godwin over Jackson.
I'll take Jackson because he's got experience in the role of being a bit part player. Don't expect too many snaps. And also now we've brought in returners. I think Maurice Alexander can be a way better returner from what I've seen than Godwin. He's smaller, shiftier. He's built for that role that could be the only position that he offers this team. So I think Godwin is being squeezed out. And like I said, I like the kid, and I liked him for like 3/4 of the year. And then I saw some of those fumbles, and I just went, ugh. I just wanted to go, ugh. And now I can't get the sour taste out of my mouth. So if he does really well in preseason, maybe I'll have a change of heart.
Godwin, when he was running the ball and he wasn't fumbling, did look good last year.
I'm pretty sure he has the biggest yards per carry average of the lot of them.
Yeah, he did. I think you're right. And he didn't look awful in the kick returner role, but have I got confidence that he'll actually go into a game situation and not do it again? You got a fumble problem, I've never really seen someone change
It's not
that.
something you can fix easy.
No, it's a
Look
very
at Amir
instinctual
Abdullah.
thing.
We kept asking Abdullah to stop fumbling. And what did they keep doing? Kept fumbling. And Christ, he keeps getting work as well. Like I said, I'm on those people as well. You cannot fix fumbling. There's all the best players in the world. And if they fumble through college, don't draft them. We do that anyway. We still try to fix them. I can't think of many players that have had a long history of fumbling that have just stopped.
It's a technique problem.
It's mental. It's technical, yeah. You can't. It's the way they hold the ball. You can't just change it.
It's an
ingrained in
thing.
them.
Well, it's also the way that you change the way you're carrying the ball into contact, or how you deal with being hit. And if you see a swinging arm going towards where you're carrying the ball, it's all a millisecond type thing. I think it's something you can fix with a huge amount of reps and an exceptionally good coach. But you don't get either of those things very often in this league. So unless you've got someone who believes in you hopelessly, I just don't see you having enough time to do it. For me, neither make this 53. If in a world where Jason Kambinda is being cut because he's just not potentially unable to perform or physically unable to perform, but he's actually just out and he's gone, I'd rather take Jackson. I mean, he's been fantasy relevant in a good Chargers team for a couple of games last year, and he's kind of shown that he's able to do it quite well. So I'd rather bank on that than someone I have no confidence in whatsoever. All right, we'll get on to Paul's question, but get us some more questions, boys. Paul Giroux, he says there's the word on the street around here that the 49ers, if they can't trade Jimmy Garoppolo, will release him in their 53-man cut-down. You were talking about wanting to get rid of both of your backup quarterbacks. Is he someone you would consider to take that role?
No. We're basically... Garoppolo is Goff. He's a confidence quarterback. And I think Goff is a little bit better. But you're kind of not fixing the issue. You're going to get another quarterback who is... His confidence is going to be shot because the 49ers have basically just said, bye, Jimmy, thanks for the memories, off you go. And, they've just given it to someone else now. They've given up on Jimmy. They did that last year. So you're going to get a quarterback who's low on confidence. He's going to take time to bed in. He's used to being a handoff merchant for those guys at 49. He doesn't have to throw it anywhere near as much as he would be required to here. I just don't think he fits the system. And, we've got Goff here on all this money. You kind of have to... You've got to give Goff this year to justify the money you're paying him. That is what we said from minute one when we got Jared Goff here. 2 years. 2 years we are sort of locked into this contract. And, he had a rough year last year. We've given him the weapons this year. You've got to give him a fair audition to get the role. So I think Jimmy, you're bringing him in as like direct competition. He ain't just going to sit on the bench in Detroit for a year after going to Super Bowls and into the playoffs and that. Some team will be desperate enough to give him a starting job. So no, I wouldn't. But...
That's my first point, yeah. Jimmy, would he want to come to Detroit? Would he bollocks? Why would he want to come here and ride on the bench? Why would he even want to start in Detroit? He is not gonna see this as a stepping stone to get back to the big time. I just don't think his ego will allow it. And two, how much would you have to pay him? Like, he ain't taking that minimum. And right now we don't have a plethora of cap. Do I want to sink the cap that we've got right now in paying above average, handsome poster boy that's also got a big chip on his shoulder and an ego? No. I don't like the quarterbacks who've got back up, but cutting them saves you very little to then just basically go all in and give the remaining one go away to Jimmy. I just don't see the point. Even if he beats out Goff as the starter, does that help us in this year right now? Probably not, no. Like I said, I'd rather take a rookie. I would wait to see if Carson Strong gets cut, go get him. If someone like if Bailey Zappi gets cut, go bring the kid in. Just give a young man a chance. You know what you're getting with Jimmy, and it don't offer Detroit that much.
I mean, at the end of the day, Garoppolo makes more boneheaded plays than Goff does. They do a similar amount of work in terms of the completions. I think Goff has probably a stronger arm. I think that when Goff gets hot, it looks better than Garoppolo getting hot. I mean, we've all seen Garoppolo win games. But have we seen Garoppolo win games outside of excellently done play calling and great schemes. You know, he's played in 2 places, both vaunted for being absolute matchup nightmares. He's been in the best possible situation the whole time. And as Ant rightly kind of said, you know, we don't want to be getting a guy who's just a little bit worse than Goff to be the backup, because for the amount of money you're paying him, it's not worth it, and Goff's here on enough money as it is. But it's a really interesting philosophical question now then. We all don't want the backup quarterbacks we have, because they're not good enough. But we don't want Garoppolo, because he's almost too good for the money he's going to want. So how the hell do we thread the needle between those 2 points? What quarterback is better than the backups we have, not as good as Garoppolo, gives us a chance to win games and can still come here on a viable contract? That seems like an impossibility, lads.
You pick up a rookie. There are plenty of rookies out there, but you have to take a chance on a rookie who might potentially be able to give you something, but you need something a little different. I think Goff has to run unopposed this year, and I know, Drew's insinuating in the comments that you can't deal with competition, but it's not that. It's you show belief in him. That's how you get the best out of him. It's how you get the confidence out of him, is you show belief in him, which Sean McVay did not. But yeah, just go for a rookie, see what he can do for a year. Because if it all goes Pete Tong this year, Goff's gone, we're drafting a quarterback high in the draft, so it doesn't really matter. You want someone who's inoffensive there, but one of these guys just coming out of college has a point to prove and will battle really hard for it. So I think that's the sweet spot.
All right, there we go. That is all we have for this week. Just to remind everyone, Hard Knocks is dropping in the US tomorrow. You can stream it on HBOmax from 10 p.m. Eastern, and in the UK on Sky Sports Action, 10 p.m. UK time on Wednesday. We've got our next episode this time next week, reviewing the first episode of Hard Knocks and Preseason Game 1 reaction, as well as looking forward to Preseason Game 2. And boys, we talked about the fact that you spoke on the Mountain West Conference on Tuesday last week, and this week you're talking about
the MAC. It's the MAC attack this week, the Mid-American Conference, where a lot of the Michigan teams are based. 3 of them are in there. Be the last of our previews of the group of 5, and then we're going to move on to the Power 5, the big schools everyone knows. So it'll be fun. I'll put a tweet out when I know when I'm doing it. It's just between work and that, it's trying to sort out an actual time to do it. But we'll be with you this week, so look forward to it.
All right. Thank you to everyone for joining us live in Twitch and YouTube chats, and for those of you on the audios following us, don't forget to follow us on our socials, Roar the Lions UK on YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, Instagram and Twitter, and the group on Facebook, Detroit Lions Fans UK, One Pride Worldwide. And don't forget the website too, roarthelionsuk.com. I've got a bit of work to do on that, so it should change shortly, and there's going to be some articles coming out very, very soon. Don't forget to like the episode, subscribe to the podcast, rate us 5 stars any way you can. It actually reminds me, we did get 1 review, and I want to see if I can find this just before we sign off, because it was a very, very nice review. So bear with me a minute.
I feel like this is a record short for us.
It is. It is from a man, Dan, or Dan McGuinness, as he's otherwise known. 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. He says, Roar the Lions UK. Great podcast to listen to live on the YouTube and then the podcast in the van. Brilliant content, very knowledgeable host. Cheers, lads. One Pride. Respect to you, my man. Love you, Dan.
Oh, thanks, Dan.
Yeah, there we go.
Oh, that's very nice.
Thanks to everyone for listening, and we'll see you midweek for the college show and on Monday for the main show. I can't wait for Hard Knocks. I hope you enjoy it. We'll see you next week. Let's go, Lions. One Pride.
One Pride.
One Pride.